Hi, everyone. It's Lakeisha C. Brooks, your diversity architect from the Leadership Loft. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the weekly updates and the latest in HR, sports, business, education, and all that's leadership. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Leadership Loft. This is our special edition where we bring guests from our Diversity Blueprint conference to come on and talk to me. I'm super excited to have yet another guest now. He is coming all the way from Europe, so we're excited for him to join us. So again, we have diversity in all areas here at this conference. And so before Matteo introduces himself, I just want to share with you all, if you haven't already, make sure to register for the conference. It is free. It's going to be an amazing guest of speakers, just like Matteo, talk about case studies, how they're implementing this stuff and the results that work. So make sure to register. All right, Matteo, introduce yourself. Tell everybody where you're from, what you do, and a little bit about how you have diversity as a part of your working technology.
So thank you so much. Lakeisha, this is Matteo. I'm really happy to be here. I'm the head of business design and revenues at Skill Gym. So what we do is basically to provide an AI digital role play platform. So an opportunity where people can practice in a safe space, very tough conversations, and reflect on the impact they deliver through a very in-depth feedback. And of course, diversity and inclusion is one of the topics we work with. And generally speaking, we work on self-awareness and growing self-awareness. That I think is one of the most important thing in being, very, very, let me say, careful about diversity and include people in what you do. So in regards of what I'm doing, basically, we are trying to keep diversity in our agenda every day. It's not easy because, of course, it's not easy. But we try to use those approaches, following the, biases, avoiding biases, and putting diversity as a first thing when we design and develop different things. What is very interesting about what we do is that we have a tool. So we are a technology, actually. But more than a technology, we are a methodology. And so being into the methodology wise, we are very, very on diversity. And what we do is basically to provide a methodology to support diversity, let me say, by design in some way.
Awesome. I love it. And you talked about a key phrase that I think for some people are leaning into and are very excited about, and some people are afraid of, and that's AI, artificial intelligence. I know that's a lot of what you all do. So talk to me about AI, and why don't you share with people why they should not be afraid of AI, because it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and how they can lean into AI in the work that they're doing.
Yeah, fantastic. So let me answer in this way. Anyone is knowing probably about AI hallucination. So this is one of the most scary things. So AI taking the lead and directing you outside the scope you are using AI for. Well, what I think strongly is that the first hallucination of AI is to think that AI can do everything. This is the first point. I mean, if we keep human beings in the center of the plate, I think that AI can be an amazing tool to accelerate many of the things we do, but we have to keep very, very strongly, let me say, the direction on supporting with the AI and not replacing human beings. So of course can be scary and is scary. So I will not the one telling you that it's not scary, because I see around, different application, being every day new in different things, and this is extremely scary. But the idea for me is that what AI is doing is actually to accelerate processes, and we have to keep a very strong attention on this. You know that in Europe there is the AI Act that is something starting to regulate a little bit the usage of AI. It's just the first try, let me say, and that can be improved and will be improved. But this is something that probably is the path to follow. Of course, sometimes it's generating confusion because you have a company like us, deeply centered on AI, and from day to from night to the day, you discover that maybe you cannot work anymore. So then you have to recollect, analyze the AI Act, and see what is actually included there. But my stronger point, and I think I will repeat many times today, and probably, of course, in the session I will deliver, is basically that methodology is stronger than technology. So anything you use AI for, be sure that you have a methodology behind. You have a precise scope to use AI. Because again, the first hallucination is that, oh, I have AI and I can solve anything. I'm visiting many expos. We are exhibiting, we are doing speeches at the expos, and one of our target is HR, learning and
Mhm.
development. So I'm meeting a lot of professionals in this areas. And the first thing they are asking me is, can you do this with the AI? Can you do that with the AI? So the idea is still that AI will replace everything.
Mhm.
So what I normally answer is, yes, we can do better that thing with the AI, but not replacing human beings, because first of all we have to keep them in the center of the plate. So jobs will changes, roles will changes, they are already changing, but the most important thing is to know what AI can do with a specific scope. So don't be scared about that. Try to know more to drive it.
I love that you share that it can be scary, but to lean into it and use it, as you said, as support versus thinking of it as replacing. And it's very interesting that you're sharing with people that it can't replace everything. Even if you're using ChatGPT, which I use a lot as well, you still have to put some human, elbow grease into that as well. I don't know how many times I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. No, no, say this, because it's not just it doing everything. You have to.
There is a very nice joke. I don't know if I invented or anyone else invented, together with me, but I always call GPT the great pleasing tool, because
Yeah,
anything you ask to GPT has an answer. But every time you try to do this, ask something and then try to say, no, I don't think this is true. I think that is true. And GPT will answer you, yes, you're right. Actually, it's pleasing you every time. So it's very different than having a conversation with a human being and
yeah,
being
it definitely
have
is.
a very constructive discussion.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about virtual reality technology and how do you or how can someone stimulate diverse populations for scenarios and trainings, helping people with a different perspective using virtual reality, augmented reality, or any other type of AI tool or any other type of technology?
Yeah, well, Lakisha, I'm very boring because I will tell you again the same thing. So methodology first. What I can share is my experience with Skill Gym. So virtual reality, we use actually simulation
Okay.
and then augmented reality to provide you more, let me say, information about what you deliver and the impact you get in that conversation. I think that virtual reality can help creating an immersive, let me say, environment where people can do something virtual but very authentic and very realistic. And in doing that, I mean, this is our approach. In doing that, it's very easy to support people with the feedback, providing them the opportunity to understand what is the meaning of diversity and what is the meaning of having someone else on the other side
Mhm.
that is feeling things in a different, in a diverse way. And this is the best way by far to help people becoming inclusive. Because you can do a lot of training, you can deliver, of course there are different levels here. The first is, of course, in creating training, in creating technology, you have to follow the guidelines, you have to pay attention to have a team of people that is a diverse team. Otherwise you will create something that will be biased, of course. But then also what you deliver must have must lever some technologies like virtual reality to provide you, I always say, a safe space where you can do mistakes, and on the other side receive a strong feedback understanding what you delivered. I mean, I can share what we do, and I can share what and how we see this being a game changer. And is a game changer what we do actually, because it's providing you the opportunity to have a space where you don't do real damages, but where you can read the emotions on the other side, and understanding the emotions, understanding the feedback, understanding the feeling you are able to trigger, and sometimes our bad feeling on the other side, you reflect. And there is nothing like human beings able to reflect and evolve behaviors through that. So of course, the very easy answer is what augmented reality, virtual reality can do. My opinion is deliver something that is helping people to feel what people not included are feeling on the other side.
Oh, I love that you talked about, in essence, empathy. And I do a lot of training, as you know, Matteo, and you get that feeling inside when you're with real people. But like you said, you don't, first of all, you don't always have access in a training like that. And sometimes people aren't comfortable sharing their real emotions in that space. So I can say all day, this is a safe space. Everyone should be able to share how they feel. But you know, in the back of your mind or in the pit of your stomach, you're like, this isn't safe. You know, I don't really want to share how I feel. And what you're saying is a great example of pairing that with something that you're doing to say, now I can really feel how that person's feeling. Because what you don't want is chaos in the training. But this is a space where, you know what, I can see how the other person may feel or look through their lens, and it be safe for both parties as well. So I love that you shared that with us. And for some people are probably thinking, I heard Lakeisha and Matteo both talk about augmented reality and virtual reality, but they may not know the difference in the two. Do you mind sharing very quickly the difference in the two of those and maybe how companies can utilize either one of them?
Well, virtual reality is something completely fake, very virtual. So it's something when you jump, and then the differences sometimes are overlapping, to be honest, because there is a huge hype and huge, usage of those in different ways. But augmented reality instead is something that is giving you more information on something real. So a very good example, the first probably example of a augmented reality was the Google Glass. You remember? So you see the
Yes.
reality, but then you have additional thing as a layer on top of the reality. So what we do, I call it the augmented reality, because basically in Skill Gym, we provide the opportunity for you to practice in a virtual, safe, let me say, environment where you talk directly with the character in front of you, like me and you now. But in front of you, you have, in fact, a pre-recorded actor managed by AI. We call it a digital human. But then the augmented reality is coming later. So after the conversation, you can rewatch your entire session, your entire chat, with the layer of augmented reality. So adding things and information on top of what you can see in the video, giving you information about what was going on. So what you said, what was the quality of your behavior, what was the impact, what was the feeling on the other side. And then this is triggering your reflection, helping you to understand what was the impact you had in terms of feeling on the other side. But on the other hand, that you can also reflect on how you felt during that conversation. And this is actually something that is very difficult to achieve in a class, as you mentioned. You have your colleague watching at you, your peers, so many people feel uncomfortable. So virtual, completely something, you have idea of those applications like Meta, Second Life, those things that you have a virtual reality, maybe some application with the Oculus where you can move, touch thing, and but it's not real.
Right.
The augmented is when you add information on that real
Wow.
reality.
I
Yeah.
think that's a really good explanation and breakdown for those that are like, oh, I don't know the difference. And like you said, they can be sometimes used together and interconnected as well. So this is very, very exciting for me to hear all this information about technology as it relates to HR and diversity and things that we do. So you shared a lot of great ideas, a lot of great scenarios that organizations can use. But how does that fit in when we talk about persons with accessibility concerns or accessibility inclusion, maybe those with a hearing impairment, visual impairment, maybe those that may be epileptic. And so some of the flashes and things like that. How do you ensure that with all these wonderful technologies and tools that people are using, that it's accessible for those persons with disabilities?
Well, very good question. Let's start from, let me say, the easiest one. So the technical things. So the technical things, there are amazing guidelines out there. So you know about the WCAG, so the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and those are very strong. There are different levels you can support and you can fulfill, and this is just the beginning, let's say. So it's something you must have. But on top of that, one of the other key point for me is cultural and conceptual. So anytime you develop anything in terms of technology, I think the best thing to do that is involving people with different abilities, let's say, in creating what you are designing. And this is not always the case. It's not easy, I know, because teams are already there, so you cannot invite people by chance. So this is starting from the company culture. So you must have people with different abilities in the company. And then one of the other things is, of course, to deliver, let's say, training to all the staff in your organization. Yeah, of course, I'm referring to, to accessibility training. Understand, giving again an injection in the company culture about the value of having diversity in the company. And this is again not always the case. So it's not easy, but this is something that must start from a cultural standpoint. I totally believe that the guidelines are good and the technical stuff, adding the right colors, the right, widget or the element in the tool are fundamental. But this is, let's say, the consequence of having a good, strong culture about inclusivity and diversity. This is my strong opinion. It's not easy. We are doing our best to achieve that. I mean, I'm talking to my experience, and sometimes it's not easy because it's very hard to be so wide to embrace all the types of diversities you have. But when you start discovering people with different abilities, and you start to feel the values that they can bring to what you do at all the levels, I think that is, the moment when you realize that you must have those people with you.
And I love to hear the passion that you have. And for those that don't know, I've known Matteo for a number of years, working with him in my work with ATD, the Association of Talent Development, and to hear the passion that he has for this and intentionally, and it's all about intentionality to make sure this happened and acknowledging it is hard. And somebody that's done this as well on a high level, it is very hard to try to get all voices, but it's all about the culture, as you said. It starts from that leader to say, we want to embrace this as well, in order to make sure that's part of all your products and services, not just technology that we're talking about now, but all of your products and services that you may have or any of your offerings. It's important to have diverse thoughts and perspectives as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I heard you talk a little bit about some of the legislation for AI in Europe. And so you said this in the infancy stage as well, but let's think about it from a company perspective. Are there any ethical or policies that an organization may want to consider putting in place for any of their technology tools or AI, so that it is, for one, equitable, it is inclusive, but also isn't breaking any laws or any data protection laws or anything like that? What are your thoughts about policies and ethical standards for companies?
Oh, well, that's my personal opinion. I think that the guideline here must be transparency. That's it. So, you have to create a very simple and very clear rules. Of course, you have an ethical, code in the company. But one of the interesting things, as I said before, when we were discussing about the team, the diverse team you must have when you design a tool. Well, also when you create rules, you must have a diverse team. So you see that, diverse team is a value everywhere. So in designing a tool, in creating rules, in everything you do in the company. And again, I think that here transparency, and consequences probably are the two things. Very clear rules, transparent for anyone in order to have no, let's say, discrimination. When you create the rules, you must have different types of people in creating the rules, so anyone will be aware of the rules, but anyone will be aware also of the fact that someone with different abilities, with a different, social position, race, gender, whatever, was included in the team, because anyone can bring a different angle. Then when the rules are very clear, they must be communicated in a very transparent way. But what I strongly believe is that rules are okay, but not only rules, also the consequences of breaking rules must be very clear, because also in the consequences you can discriminate, maybe in an unconscious way, people. So I think that the process in creating rules from an ethical standpoint is something that must be, again, inclusive, including different people. That's my point of view in that.
Awesome, great. So how can an organization tailor their e-learning platforms to include the things that you talked about, some of the robust stuff, especially if they don't have that type of budget, right? So if they want to say, hey, Matteo's has some really cool stuff. But they're like, hey, I just have this e-learning platform. I have this LMS. So what are some ways that they can do that maybe on a limited budget, or they don't have a Matteo on the team to create this kind of stuff? What can they do?
It's again a matter of, let me say, the team you work with. I think. I mean, it's not a matter of only of budget. Of course, if you have a budget, you can hire a group of consultants. You can hire many people doing the job for you. But again, if you don't have budget, you start from your people. You start from what you have in your organization, and also with limited budget. If you are again starting from the culture and having a good variety in your organization, then everything you create in terms of, let's say, contents on the e-learning will be much better. Of course, sometimes you don't have this opportunity, so you have to ask outside, search for consultants, and looking for someone helping you to inject this diversity in the company. One of my suggestion is to take an eye and do user testing a lot with different types of people, with different types of of possible learners or possible users, to have different angles. And this is something you can do quite easily in the organization, because when I see processes in buying technology or learning that are just managed by one person, wow, it's risky. It's risky. So, and then the results, it's worst. And then the money you invested are, thrown away. So it's definitely worth to involve more people if you don't have budget in doing that. And of course, of looking at the market, reading around, search for, use cases of other organization in your same position. And believe me, anyone think to be unique in terms of situation at the company. But for sure, if you look around, there are already other organizations that were in the same position and found a smart way to achieve the results with a limited budget, looking into something very effective for their people.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So how do you build the case for the ROI of technology and AI in an organization? What are some strategies? Because I'm sure companies say, okay, Matteo, this is great. What's the ROI? How
Wow.
do you articulate the ROI, the business case for this type of stuff?
Well, for us, it's quite simple, because what we do is basically data driven. So we have a lot of information we are able to track within the tool. We support people in soft skills development. So we support people in growing confidence, self-awareness, and in growing the specific skills of the company framework. So the skill taxonomy of the company. So for us, it's easy. That was the beginning of our organization, when this was designed to be a data-driven company. So basically, you can see how your people evolve those skills using our tool. And this is bringing me to the answer: data. So if you are deciding to go into a new tool or anything you want to support diversity, be sure that the tool, the technology, the methodology you are approaching is able to collect data and giving you at least a compass to understand what is going on. It's a very trivial, I know, suggestion, but I see many training out there without the opportunity to monitor anything. It's amazing to do, inspiring training, inspiring, let me say, events. But if you cannot track, then unfortunately you are not able to understand if that was, let's say, effective or not. That has been the, let's say, one of the pillars of Skill Gym from the beginning. So be sure to provide data. And this is one of the things that our clients loves a lot to have. So data. That's the probably the most trivial, but also the very real, let me say, advice I can give you. Of course, AI is the same thing. I mean, it's just an application again on something that has to bring results in a very faster, smarter way than before. But at the end of the day, you must provide something effective for your people. And when I see our clients saying, "Oh, that's nice because this tool is different from the others," is giving me the opportunity to be like in front of a mirror. And you know what? I'm a manager since 15 years, but and anyone is telling me I'm a good person in dealing with people, in including people, in providing a very diverse team. But then practicing here and watching myself from an external point of view, giving a feedback, I realized that something I'm doing, I can improve probably. And so thank you, because this is something that I've never ever before. And this is interesting because, anyone as human beings, we know very well, we are deeply, created to come back on the couch. So being on our truth, being on our belief, being on our ways of doing things, having the opportunity sometimes in life to put yourself in front of a mirror and open your mind to change in regards of different topics, and diversity is one of the most
Yeah.
to that. Well, it's invaluable.
I love it. Definitely. And data. It's one of our pillars for the diversity architecture framework as well. Data is super important. So is readiness for change. So you talked about so many things that align exactly what we're doing and trying to get people to see that diversity is a holistic process and it should be hitting every area of the organization. I mean, we're talking about people, but we're also talking about technology. We're also talking about policies. We're also talking about change. So I want people to hear out there that even though there's a lot of talk about one area of people, which is great, there's so many areas that diversity can touch on your organization to drive those dollars or drive business development. And speaking of which, do you have an example maybe you can share where you've actually had a conversation with a client who they showed this data of this technology and they were able to get buy-ins, and maybe before they weren't able to get buy-in, and then here's Matteo and his organization helping them get that buy-in because of the data that you showed. Got any examples you can share?
It's happening many times every year, because we normally start from small project, just what you can call probably a pilot or a proof of concept. Many times we start from there, just with a limited number of people, and we check the results. And so it's happening many times that they are also, sometimes there is a kind of strategies we use, but sometimes when there is someone in the company noticing what we do and just getting in touch with us, we partner inside the company, and we see normally those people also shining in front of the organization because they are bringing something very valuable inside. And happened many times that the let's say the engagement data, so how many people can engage with the tool compared with other tools and other things like the e-learning that they were doing, or of course the impact in terms of confidence and self-awareness, where basically once the proof of concept is closed, presented to the leadership, to the C-level, and they were of course buying in this, because I mean the idea of having people with the opportunity of having a safe space where they can practice a conversation and reflect on their impact is something that is going everywhere in the organization. Can be connected with leadership, can be connected with the individual contributor in the way they manage peer feedback, can be definitely key for sales, definitely key for customer service, and of course can be also very impactful for diversity and inclusion topics. So with the opportunity of having a safe space where you see the impact when you are unconsciously discriminating someone in a way that is very touchy, is completely changing the balance and is giving you sometimes a slap in your face, giving you finally the opportunity to see what is the impact on the other side. And this is not happening normally in real life, because you do something and people on the other side are going in the other room, calling someone, telling someone else how was the conversation with you, but you cannot see there. So you cannot understand the feeling you were able, and sometimes our bad feeling, you are able to trigger. So
Yeah.
a lot of time in terms of data again are the best you can deliver.
I love data as well. And it's always important, to have someone that understands data, that can be transparent with the data. Because a lot of people don't want to share data, especially if it doesn't look good. But it's important because sometimes the data that isn't as appealing as we like can show us areas of improvement and can show us where we need to maybe improve in those areas where there's gaps. So definitely exciting to talk to you about technology. And before we go, I want to see, is there anything you want to share with our viewers today? Maybe a little bit about your case study, what they can expect. Not to give it all away, but just a little bit about what they can expect from
No,
you at the conference.
just a very quick highlight. What I will do during the session is to show you the technology we have in action, because I want to you. I mean, I don't want to advertise that, but I want you to have an idea on what technology can do for diversity and inclusion. So I will show you something, coming from our technology. So the way we can interact in a real time with the character on the other side, but the most interesting thing I will show you is the feedback. So how you can really, feel the emotions of the character on the other side. And I will share with you some data about the impact of this. Of course, I don't want to share more about that, but I definitely hope that you will be able to make it, because I think that it's always interesting to be on the edge, knowing what is the technology out there and understanding what kind of impact you can deliver if you just switch your angle a little bit and embrace new technology like AI with, without being just scared and just saying, "Oh, I don't want to do that." Or my company. I mean, I'm meeting a lot of companies in the expo saying AI. Whoa, I cannot do that. Try to get used with that and leverage that again with the methodology is the best thing. And this is exactly the approach I want to show in the session, giving you the opportunity to find the right angle to carefully, let me say, select and leverage the tools out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, Matteo, it's almost time for the Olympics. And I don't know if you're a sports guy or you're going to be tuning in to the Olympics, but what country are you representing and what sport or sports are you most looking forward to seeing at
That's
the
a
Olympics?
very interesting thing, because our company is in Switzerland, but I'm Italian, so of course at the end I will support Italy. And I think that athletics and track and field, let's say, will be for us a very, very interesting area this year, because we have just done the European Championship and we were the first in terms of different countries. We want now to focus on looking what is happening when we open to the entire world. And what I love about the Olympics is the vibes and basically the spirit, the feeling and the idea behind the Olympic is amazing. So I cannot wait to have the next Olympics, the Winter Olympics in 2026, that will be in Italy actually. So
Nice.
yeah, I will try to be there.
Nice, nice. So we speaking of Italy, and you guys, I think, have the reigning 100-meter men's winner, right? I think you have the
Yes.
reigning winner, right? And
Yep. The
now,
last one was Jacobs winning.
yeah, that's what I thought. So I know he's had some struggles since he
See?
won. Yeah, but we'll see what happens in the Olympics. So of course I represent the US. So it's gonna be it's gonna be very fun. I'm looking forward. Track and field is literally my favorite sport at the Olympics. So it's funny you said that it's my favorite. I like gymnastics, of course, basketball. And I watch some swimming. I can't swim, so it's nice to see other people do something I can't do. So I'm very excited about that too. So it's gonna be very fun. So thank you all so much for joining us. As Matteo said, I hope to see you there. It's a free conference. You get recertification credits for 3 bodies. We have ATD, SHRM, and HRCI. So if you're a member and you have a certification and credentials from any of them, make sure to join to get 6 continuing education credits. It's going to be August 21st, so it's coming up very soon. 9 to 4 case studies, 30-minute case studies. You can ask questions, interact. Also, great networking opportunities. See you all very soon. Again, thank you so much, Matteo, and I'll see you in the next few weeks.
Lovely. See you, everybody.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of the Leadership Loft, make sure to subscribe below. See you soon.